This program is presented by University of California Television. Like what you learn? Visit our website or follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the latest UCTV programs. Also, make sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube original channel, UCTV Prime, available only on YouTube.
Good afternoon, and thanks for coming out. I'm going to talk mostly about where we've been in this process, because the presentations you're going to see this afternoon are the result of a lot of work on the team's parts. But I want to start first with a little bit about the new venture competition. We introduced a new theme to the competition this year. And we're branding the competition, even though it's still a part of the Technology Management Program. We're calling it the UCSB New Venture Competition in recognition of the fact that anybody from anywhere in any school in UCSB can participate. The logo, you'll notice the UCSB logo kind of incorporated in there, is meant to emphasize the wave, make waves. We want our entrepreneurs, we want our teams to think about not just how they can grow a business, but how they can change the way things work today. So the make waves part of it is important, and then the legacy. I know we have a couple of past New Venture Competition winners coming today. If you were a past New Venture Competition winner, we will backdate the logo for you so that you can put it on your website and recognize the fact that you were a part of this competition and that you were a winner in the competition. Anybody know what the definition of an entrepreneur is? I have a favorite definition. I couldn't find the reference to it, but it goes something like this. An entrepreneur is someone who starts a business even though the facts overwhelmingly suggest that he or she is destined to fail. And a serial entrepreneur, which even gets sillier, is someone who does this over and over and over again. So that reminded me of an Albert Einstein quote. He defines insanity as doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result. So I'm not sure what Albert Einstein thought about entrepreneurs, but by association, he thinks we're crazy, which I take as a compliment. The process that we went through in this competition was in January. The reason why I bring up that quote is I need to make the point that these students do not get credit for this competition. It's not a class. We make them come once a week at 7:30 in the morning to listen to a lecture. They have to come to the TMP offices to meet one-on-one with mentors. We make them write executive summaries, go through financials, do an awful lot of extra work in addition to their course load. So it sounds a little crazy sometimes. But we had 46 teams this year. We had 140 students this year volunteer to be part of this competition, all for a chance, about a 2% chance of winning a prize. But when you talk to them about why they join, it's not for the prize. They're interested in being entrepreneurs, they're interested in starting up businesses, and we want to be here to help them do that. I'm going to go through this quickly. This is a list of the majors of the students that participated in the New Venture Fair, the step before this. The point being that it's a School of Engineering program, but it's open to the entire campus. So we literally we've probably had just about every major on campus at one point in time or another. It's a very diverse program. So the format for today. The judges have already received written executive summaries and financials of each team. They've had a chance to review them. Each team is going to have 10 minutes to do its best to convince you that their business idea is worth an investment. After those 10 minutes, the judges will have a chance for Q&A. One question each. We've got a pretty long agenda ahead of us, so we're going to try to run through it as quick as we can. Once all the presentations are over, the judges will go into a room, deliberate, decide on the prizes, and then while they're doing that, you're going to convene to the patio off to your left, where we'll have a reception. When the judges have come to their decisions, they'll join you out there, and we'll announce who the winners are. These are the evaluation criteria that the judges are using to evaluate the businesses. They're the same evaluation criteria that we gave to the students in January. But essentially what we're looking for is the best business, fully developed business plan. That you've thought about the business model, you've thought about the product, you've thought about where in the market you're going to be disruptive. But it's these criteria that we focus on. The structure of the business. These are the awards that we're giving out tonight. First of all, I want to thank the MIT Enterprise Forum for sponsoring our first Social Entrepreneurship Award. This award was decided a little in advance of the finals. It was decided right after the New Venture Fair, but this award goes to the team that had the best social mission at the heart of its business. Then we are dividing our teams into two tracks, tech push and market pull. The tech push businesses start with the technology and develop the technology first, and then identify the market that's interested in that new way of doing things or that new product. Market pull starts from the other direction. They identify a market need, and then they typically adapt an existing technology to fill that market need. There are a lot of characteristics of businesses that make this a good way to divide the contestants. So we will announce third, second, first place in each track. Once we've done that, we will pull the two first place winners back on stage, and we will give one of them a grand prize. Because this is an entrepreneurship competition, we want to get to one best of the best, and that's how we're going to do it. Then we also have a People's Choice Award. You're going to participate in helping us select the People's Choice Award. This being the technology management program, we're going to use some technology to do that. You're going to use your cell phones to vote for your favorite presentation. And I'll talk more about that once the presentations are done. We need to thank our sponsors. We have two sets of sponsors. One is the in-kind sponsors, who are offering up their services to the winning teams to help them get off on the right foot, because a lot of these teams are very serious about starting up businesses. So we have I don't have time to go through all of them, but we have a pretty diverse group of in-kind sponsors. And then I also want to thank our contributing sponsors. As Bob said, this is a self-supporting competition. The prize money, the other expenses of the competition are borne by our sponsors, and we are very thankful to them for that. So we're going to dive right into the team pitches. So we're going to do these in relatively rapid succession, and it's my honor to introduce our moderator. Henry Dubroff is in many ways the face of business in Santa Barbara. Anybody who's in business has probably read the the Pacific Coast Business Times at one time or another. That's Henry's baby. He's a successful entrepreneur in his own right. He started the Pacific Coast Business Times, in his words, in 1999 with a leased sob, a checkbook, and a business plan. Henry is going to moderate from here on in, and I'm going to keep time, so I'm going to hand it off to Henry.
I think we're going to learn many lessons about entrepreneurship today. The first one being be kind to the judges. So I think we should give our judges a nice round of applause. And the other thing you'll learn is that I have this ancient iPhone. It's a 3G, but it does keep time, and I'll be watching, and Mike will be watching. So we will let you know. I'll be sitting down there when you have 3 minutes, 1 minute, and when you see me walk up, complete your sentence, and the judges will be very happy, I guarantee you. So will I. Okay, so we are going to introduce our first team, or our first flight of teams, and this is the marketing pull team, right? And so we have Birdeez, Gaffinity, and Speckle. So gentlemen, come on down.
Hi, we're Birdeez. Our smartphone app, social network, and bird alert service are designed for the complete solution for bird watching. What does that mean? Bird watchers face several problems. They need to identify birds, collect and share their bird sightings, and locate rare birds. Let's start with the first problem. Have you ever seen an interesting looking bird and wonder what kind it is? Well, you're not alone. In the US, there are over 48 million bird watchers, more than several other well-known recreational markets. They spend $23 billion per year on binoculars, books, and even $30 smartphone apps, trying to answer that question, what is that bird? For context, the golf market spends $26 billion per year obsessed with birdies of a different kind. So, what is that bird? The identification problem is actually hard. 74% of bird watchers can only identify 1 to 20 species of bird. Additionally, unless you're already a dedicated bird watcher, the tools to do so are expensive and difficult to use. Here's a specific example. This is the most popular birding app for the iPhone. It sells for $30 and has over 30 features to look for birds. I've talked to casual bird watchers who bought this app and never use it because it's so difficult. You even have to manually enter your location on a device that has built-in GPS. That all changes with the Birdeez mobile app. Let's see how easy it can really be to identify this bird. Birdeez knows where you are, what time of year it is, and even what birds have recently been seen in your area. Before you even start the search, the app knows what birds you're likely to see. Paired with our 9-grid search, identifying birds is as easy as dialing a phone. Anyone can identify birds right away. Let's start by identifying this bird. Obviously, it's a bright green bird, so let's choose color. We'll select green. It plugs back in so you can see where you've been. You can also see down at the bottom, we're down to 10 birds on our list. But let's choose another feature. He's a pretty good sized bird. It's huge here. Okay, but huge is not one of our options. It's been removed because they're actually aware of what birds have been seen recently in your area, and irrelevant options are removed. He's obviously not a very small bird, so let's click on medium, and there you have it. He's an Amazon parrot. Instead of costing $30, our app is free to use for anyone with a smartphone that's connected to the internet. Identification is just the first problem. After you identify your bird, you want to remember what kind of bird it is. If you're like me, remembering is hard, and it's especially difficult because there are 900 species of bird in North America alone. Dedicated bird watchers keep a life list, like this paper life list. But carrying a separate list, marking up your books, or remembering until later is difficult. So difficult that 10% or less of bird watchers currently keep a life list. Not because they don't want it, it's just too cumbersome. That also changes with the Birdeez app. As soon as you identify a bird, you can collect a sighting by pressing the Spot It button. You'll never forget where, when, and what birds you saw. That data is sent to us at Birdeez, and we can use it to improve the searching capabilities of our device. Birdeez is the only app that gets better with everyone's use. Birdwatching is also a social activity. The more eyes you have, the more birds you see. Meeting up with other people requires knowing other birders, taking a class, or trying to connect with somebody on a forum. Finding people to birdwatch with can take as much time as finding the birds you want to see. That changes with our Birdeez social network. Your sightings from the app are automatically posted to your profile. Now you can share your experience with others, you can connect with other local birdwatchers, and even compete comparing your life lists. Our built-in game elements will make this competition even more fun and engaging, and this is free for anyone. As you build your life list, you'll face one more problem. Finding those rare birds gets more and more difficult. It's like trying to find buried treasure without a map. This is the bird location problem, and it's especially difficult because unlike buried treasure, birds are transient, here today and gone tomorrow. That's why we've built our Bird Alerts service. Bird Alerts notifies you when a rare bird has been seen near you. Tailored to your interests, it uses data both from our Birdeez app and other crowdsourced bird information to keep you up to date. Our products and services are the complete solution. They help birdwatchers with all 4 problems of birding: identify, collect, share, and locating rare birds. The Bird Alerts, Birdeez app, and Birdeez social network share bird sightings data to improve birdwatching at every step. They also work in concert to make us a valuable and fast-growing business. We have a freemium business model. Our free birding app is ad-supported for anybody who's connected to the internet. You can also download a paid version of the app to your iPhone or Android phone with additional features and without ads. While we make some money on the ads and the sale of the app, the main goal is to collect more data for our Bird Alert service. This increases the value for the people with the highest willingness to pay. The apps also act as a funnel, allowing us to convert casual users to paying customers and eventually Bird Alert customers. The Bird Alert subscription is our main source of revenue and is a steal for only $30 per year. Our app competition is vulnerable to the freemium model because they are currently reliant on app sales alone to make money. The Bird Alert service is built today on existing crowdsourced data and will go on sale next week. We can start making revenue today while we develop our Birdeez smartphone apps. We have had great responses from our contacts with the local Audubon Society and have identified other regional partners, including business partners. In addition, we've already formed Ecolec LLC to take our Birdeez products to market. We expect to grow rapidly. We'll be selling our products through the local and regional contacts we've made. After that, we will launch our app and our social network. And after gaining that endorsement, we're going to try and get national endorsements, as well as connect with strategic partners such as binocular manufacturers. Our strategy also relies on strong online marketing to gain users nationwide. What does it all add up to? We break even in month 10 with $120,000 in profit by the end of year 1. Based on our conservative estimates, we expect $8 million in revenue by the end of year 3. The large majority of our income comes from the Bird Alert subscription. By year 5, we expect 25% of US birdwatchers to be using our app, mostly the free app, as you can see here. We expect 1.8% to have our Bird Alert service. Even so, that makes us $30 million in revenue. This is based also on 5% of users upgrading to the paid app and from the free app, and 5% of those upgrading to our Bird Alert service every month, as well as the impact of our Bird Alert marketing on its own. We have the team to make this possible. My name's Jeff Simeon, and I'm CEO. I'm a bird watcher, and I designed Birdeez while getting my master's degree in eco-entrepreneurship at the UCSB's Bren School. We've assembled a team that includes Patrick Turner, a dedicated entrepreneur who runs his own internet marketing business, and Patrick built our Bird Alert system on his own. Our other partner is Thomas Quell, a computer vision PhD and experienced programmer who currently has a location-based Android app on the Android market. But we need your help. High-quality images, sounds, and other data cost a lot of money up front. We would like $250,000 in initial funding, primarily to license these materials and then aggressively take our products to market. We are confident that we are building a disruptive birding app that helps the current birdwatching market while growing that market in the US and abroad. What we are also building is a flexible platform that can be reskinned and applied to plants and other types of animals. We are dedicated in making the best birdwatching products possible, but even after that, the future is bright for us and the Birdeez platform. We are Birdeez, where every bird counts. Thank you.
Kamal, go ahead.
I'm not a birder, but I have a question. So one thing wasn't clear to me. Are the photos of the birds part of the stock photography that comes with the app, or can I, as a user, take a picture of a bird that I've seen for the first time, and then it becomes part of the network? So could I do something like Instagram where I have my real name and I take a photo of a bird, and then I get known as the guy who found the bird?
Right. Yeah, actually, that's a great point, and we were intending on including the picture. It's not going to be a picture that you can then identify the bird, at least not initially, but it is a good backup identification mechanism if we have that picture. Unfortunately, taking pictures of birds with your smartphone is very difficult. As I'm sure if any of you have ever tried on the beach, they look beautiful, and then you take the picture and it's this little tiny speck. We actually have some backup slides, but I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah, that would definitely add some precedence to you as the person who found that rare bird for sure.
Okay, Joanne?
Yeah, tell me about your exit strategy.
Excellent question. So our exit strategy depends on what kind of partnerships we form with other organizations. There's a possibility that we could exit to a bird conservation organization or some other sort of nonprofit like National Geographic might be interested in this, since we're creating really interesting maps from the bird information. But more likely, we'd have an exit strategy that would involve a manufacturer of goods for bird watchers, such as Nikon or Swarovski, who make high-quality scopes and binoculars and that sort of thing. KT's even a bird seed manufacturer. We're going to have a captive audience on our app and on our social network, so they might be really interested in acquiring us.
Tom?
Jeff, what's been the take-up with your competition in terms of users for the existing apps that are out there?
Could you all hear the question? What's been the take-up or the acquire rate for competitors for this app?
So do you mean who have they been acquired by?
No, the competition that's currently out there,
Yeah.
What's their user experience been in terms of their ramp-up experience?
Okay. What slide? 38.
You can just type in the number.
Okay, you'll have to show me how to do that later. All right. So here's some examples of our competition. Thomas, do you want to handle that?
So in terms of actual adoption, I've noted on for Android apps, the iExplorer Pro has between 100,000, 500,000 in the past 30 days. Recently, there has been a huge spike with iBirds because they did a recent price drop. They ended up on the top paid apps in the Apple App Store. As for actual usage, let's see, what do we have for these?
Well, we do know that smartphone adoption has been increasing rapidly amongst bird watchers. In fact, NPR did a story this Monday on apps entering the birding market. But what's currently out there is not nearly as sophisticated or adaptive as what we are going to be building. So we're confident that once we build this app, especially 5 years out when smartphone adoption is close to 100%, that everyone's going to be looking at their phone when they're going bird watching.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah, I had the same question Tom had, which is what the volume of downloads has been for your competition, sort of indicating the market for, iPhone apps for birding. The second question is, you mentioned there's 48 million birders, and in your summary that we've received, you talk about there's avid and then there's more casual. Do you have any data that shows how that 48 million breaks down in terms of how often people actually go out and how, is it once a week? And because obviously that's going to be indicative of your market is the more frequent users or birders, if you will, are going to be the ones that are going to be really your true initial target market.
Absolutely, absolutely. 32. All right. There we go. So we've gotten our numbers from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, who has a vested interest in how many bird watchers there are out there. And you can see that 42 million bird watchers bird in their backyard. There is overlap between these two categories, obviously. Away from home birders are 20 million people. And we estimate that the avid birder make up over 2 million people in this group. Novice birders, who are people who have just started their own life list, make up 20 million. And more casual bird watchers, the type of person who has a bird feeder in their backyard, makes up 26 million people.
And I'm sorry if I missed this. What defines an average birder?
Oh, an avid birder?
I mean, an avid
Yeah,
birder?
an avid birder would be somebody who goes out on a regular basis.
How regular?
Travels long distances and keeps a life list of birds.
Okay.
A novice birder would be somebody who travels locally and maybe has considered keeping a life list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
A very good presentation, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What do you think the biggest risk is to the business plan looking forward?
The biggest risk to our business plan moving forward, do we have a slide for that too?
I don't think so.
Okay. We have a lot of slides, maybe not one for that. The biggest risk for our business plan moving forward is the adoption of our bird alert system. Obviously, that's our bread and butter. And if there is not a large adoption of that, we'll have to look more into partnering with manufacturers and really monetizing the advertising on our social network, which we're initially launching without ads currently, and monetizing the ad-supported app as well.
We'll take one more question.
When is the smartphone app coming out, and what's your plan for user acquisition? Is it going to be across both iOS and Android? And if so, how do you get to 1 million active users on phones?
Great question.
So in our first release, we're releasing, as you said, we're releasing bird alerts now or in the next week or two. Our first app will be a web app so that we can get a wide swath of users. And then after that, we'll be trying to localize in the Q2 for both Android and also iPhone. To get our users, our first step is to seek local endorsements. We've already identified the Santa Barbara Audubon Society. We've been speaking to them. And we've identified the Conejo Valley Audubon Society and other regional groups. And that's where we will start. After that, we have identified the companies and organizations such as the Audubon Society, the American Birding Association, and also the corporations that we showed earlier that are potential exits that we'd like to partner with, either for advertising or just some of them are interested in the data that we have. And we would love to partner with them and share our data.
One last question. On the expense side, one of your biggest expenses is your licensing fees, and the eBird license. I think it's 13% of your profit that goes to eBird. How do you protect yourself long term that they don't try and get a larger share for themselves? Do you have long-term contracts in place for the licensing?
So that's a great question, and that's something that you guys maybe haven't been privy to. eBird, who we're using for our data, currently wants 13% of our profits to license their data. The nice thing is the data that we're collecting via our app is coming to us. So that's our main protection, is that we're going to be generating our own data. The other thing is because eBird is associated with school, they're not as much of a profit-seeking entity. Well, we'll see. But what we're going to do is we're going to allow them to have our data after it's stale. Bird alerts are not going to be as useful, say, a month out. So we'll give them that data and build a reflexive relationship that way, and we may be able to actually bring down the amount that they're asking for. The other apps that are currently using data from eBird don't have this reflexive relationship with them.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Can you think of the last great gift you gave? Not just an average gift, really a great gift. Can you think of the last great gift you received? If you're still pondering the answer to those questions, you're not alone. Frankly, gift giving is tough. Think of all the times you've been driving to a birthday party or a housewarming and stopped off on the way to pick up flowers or a gift card or any other gift that you know is last minute and they know is last minute. Well, now you don't have to. The greatest thing about Giffinity is that you will always have the opportunity to give a personal, thoughtful gift. I stand before you to present two things. On one hand, a revolutionary approach to the intimate world of gift giving. On the other, a state-of-the-art technology engineered to make sense of the social media world. Two elements combined into one beautiful package we call Giffinity. Mother's Day is coming up. Who loves their mom? Keep your hands up high in the air if you've already bought mom a gift. Oh, I saw a lot of hands go down there. That's okay, I'm in the same boat. But today we're going to use Giffinity to help us out and find mom a gift. Oh. Hitachi, the new Giffinity. So anyways, what we're going to do is you're going to log in to Giffinity's mobile application, or you can go to Giffinity.com. So you can use your iPad, your Android, your BlackBerry. You're going to select your mother. That's the person we want to give a gift to. And then you're going to answer 5 simple questions. Things like, what does she like to do on the weekend? What kind of food does she like? What is her clothing style? And what is your relationship with her? After you answer these 5 simple questions, Giffinity will suggest 3 beautiful gifts. Imagine 3 beautiful gifts right here. The algorithm. Giffinity's secret sauce to the intelligent gift concierge. Inputs come in through 2 ways. On one hand, social media input brings in information like likes, interests, groups she follows, as well as her gender and location. Okay, we're back. There's her beautiful gifts right there. That's information we pulled from Facebook up there, just a few examples. Justin Bieber cooking, the notebook, and a whole bunch of other things we're not showing. So information comes in from social media inputs, as well as these user-based questions. Giffinity then parses this information, assigns certain tags and an affinity, using natural language search characterization with the help of Google and Wikipedia. All of this information goes back into the Giffinity engine, and Giffinity suggests a small pool of gifts specialized to your mother that she'll love, taking all of the hassle and stress out of gift giving. So who's our market? Frankly, anybody who's ever struggled to find gifts. So everybody. The entire market in the US alone is $280 billion. That's twice the GDP of the Ukraine, 2 times. This is a market that has been taking leaps and bounds in the mobile and online industry for online purchases. We're going to focus down our market a bit on the professionals and busy people in our lives, those of you of the younger generation who use mobile internet applications. You busy people need help finding the right gifts. You have a couple of kids, a couple of lovely kids that you pamper and bathe and feed 3 times a day. You work over 40 hours a week, and when you give a gift to your coworkers and friends, you don't want to be embarrassed. So you spend hours searching for this gift. Time you don't really have. We've hand-selected hundreds of vendors to ensure that when you use Giffinity, you have an exquisite customer experience. This ensures that when Giffinity suggests a gift specialized to you, it's of highest quality, and the person you're giving a gift to is guaranteed to be happy. Here's a snapshot of our competitive landscape. You can see Giffinity up there in the top left. ShoppyCat and Wantful are our 2 strongest competitors. ShoppyCat is a product of Walmart. It's a suggestion service, and it uses Facebook for its likes and interests and background information. But the technology is fairly low tech, and it only suggests Walmart goods. Wantful, on the other hand, aggregates high-end vendors, and it's also a suggestion service. But they have a very small pool of vendors, and when I personally did the Wantful suggestion for myself, they suggested a wooden spoon. Not exactly what I'm looking forward to this Christmas. Here's a snapshot of our total revenues and net income. Essentially, we're a $100 million business over 5 years. I'd like to point you to these numbers right here, the individual gift purchases. This isn't number of clients, this is individual gift purchases. And you can see that with incremental increase in these gift purchases, our total revenue and net income soar. Small increase gift purchases, huge increase revenue. We can do this because we have no inventory and low cost of goods sold. Now, we hold no inventory because when you purchase your gift through us, we'll process your payment, and then our vendors will send the gift directly to you, in our branded packaging, of course. We're building a sustainable business. At the end of 5 years, we can see ourselves being acquired by any number of one of these contenders. If you think about it, we have 2 strong selling points. On one hand, we have Giffinity's strong brand, a list of exquisite vendors, and a powerful team. On the other, we have a unique clustering algorithm that can take social media data and suggest a unique gift or any other retail item. Imagine the power that can have for a company like Amazon, who right now only can give you suggestions based on things you've bought. But maybe one day they'll be able to give you suggestions on things you need or things you want based on that information. Here's our awesome team. Michael Maskett down here is our CIO. He has a background in sales and marketing. He's also an entrepreneur. His sophomore year, he started a business that generated over $300,000 in revenue. Derek Barge is previously employed at CERN. He's also a physics PhD. He heads up our development department. Saif Savage, she's the brain behind the Giffinity algorithm. Her focus is in smart algorithms, and she's a computer science PhD. We find ourselves at the tip of the social media iceberg. Today, social media is used primarily for user interaction, and that information is leveraged for targeted advertising. There's so much more beneath the surface that is waiting to be accessed, and Giffinity is here to tap into that. So where are we to date? Based on 2 years of PhD research, we've engineered a proprietary algorithm, we've built a fully functional website, and we've scoured thousands of vendors to select hundreds for our gift base. Ladies and gentlemen, Giffinity is ready to go live. I'd like to bring your attention to this fact. A wealth of opportunities exists in the gift-giving space. Giffinity is bringing innovation and state-of-the-art technology to a space that desperately needs it. Leveraging the infinite data of social media, Giffinity is simple, personal, and thoughtful. In a world of infinite possibilities, Giffinity helps you choose that one perfect gift. Thank you.
I have a question, but before I do that, I just want to congratulate you for handling that disaster with the projector really well.
Yes.
I think it was one of the best jobs. And I didn't see any sweats or anything. I mean, that was really well done. So I guess the question I have is, it's a very clever idea of marrying technology to gift giving and using the social network to do that. But if you think about the margins on your business, you talk about sort of 10 to 45% affiliate fees that you plan to extract from these e-tailers that you're driving these leads to. Do you think that that's a sustainable business model? I mean, these e-tailers have low margins to begin with, and every single penny counts, why would they give you, anywhere from 10 to 45% on every transaction?
Yes. Hello? Okay. Keval, that's an excellent question, and we've narrowed down the percentage after talking to some vendors and actually negotiating. We just signed our first contract. We've been negotiating with multiple vendors. The first contract we signed is for 20%, and the reason we chose the higher end vendors is because we're able to negotiate these types of prices as well as offer the best types of gift. So from our research, we found that 15 to 25% after some negotiation, as well as the fact that we have a very valuable proposition to these vendors, which is this. Customers aren't shopping on our website. Once they get to our website and a gift is suggested, then they're credit card in hand, ready to buy it. So we're marketing to those affluent consumers and almost guaranteeing purchases once that comes up.
Are there any privacy issues with the acquisition of these names and users?
We've already tapped into the Facebook user base, the same way that there's hundreds upon hundreds of other companies that do a similar thing where they tell you to log in with Facebook and they'll pull your information. The only danger, I would say, is if Facebook changes their rules, which they do fairly regularly, and then it's in their best interest to keep everyone on board because they have all these companies tied into them, and it really creates their ecosystem. So,
and is there anyone else besides Facebook that you're pulling from right now?
LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and we're looking into things like StumbleUpon and other options as well.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I had the same question that Keval did on the commission structure, and it sounds like you're honing that in, and you'll probably get more experience as you go forward. The other question I have is what's preventing some of the competitors that are already out there from developing their same algorithm? 5 questions, pulling in from social media. Doesn't seem like that would be a huge barrier to others trying to replicate what you've built.
Wantful already does the similar, question, answer, and then suggest a gift format. The real secret behind Giffinity's success is going to be twofold. One is its algorithm, and we have a really powerful algorithm that's based on 2 years of PhD research that is suggesting very unique gifts based on all of these interests that we're able to weigh differently. On the other hand, it's going to be really our traction and marketing efforts. We're going to hit the ground running, and we're deeply integrated with social media right now. Every time you make a gift purchase, we give you an instant Giffinity money almost for your next purchase if you share it on Twitter or Facebook. So it's really opening the doors to exponential growth, and we're ready to launch with that.
John?
If I understand this correctly, in order to take advantage of a gift recipient's Facebook presence, then they actually have to give permission for this app to get access to their information. So if I wanted to give a gift to my brother using your service, I'd have to tell him to provide access. How does that take place?
Yeah, so the current Facebook privacy model, you can actually give up your friends' likes. So it only takes permission from you. And that's kind of surprising, but that's how it is.
So in other words, I can give permission for your application to have access to anybody in my friends' circles without their permission?
That's right, unless your friends have changed the default privacy settings, yes.
I see, okay. And then the second question is, apart from the commission issue with your retailers that you are providing traffic to, I also see you're committing on their behalf to next day delivery and also a custom wrapping, and which obviously increases their complexity of dealing with your orders. How is that going over with those retailers?
Can you all hear? Yes? Raise hands if you no, a few of you can't. So the question is, how do you deal with next day shipping and the Giffinity custom wrapping?
There's a couple companies that we researched out there that are doing a similar thing, and one that just actually launched is called Karma, and they also use their own packaging as well as labels and whatnot, and they drop ship. We have four criteria that allow us to work with a vendor. One is, like you said, same-day delivery. The other one is the packaging. Obviously, this is assuming that we chose them as a high-end vendor. We also, we're also negotiating returns, obviously, because we want the ultimate customer satisfaction. So if a customer wants to return it, we issue their money back, and then we've negotiated a contract with these individual vendors on the return policy. And the ones that we're moving ahead with have to agree to all of those, yes, definitely.
One more question?
Yeah, how do you refresh your vendor list? As you've selected some vendors, they might go out of business or new people might come in. Have you thought about how you might refresh that list on an ongoing basis?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's actually a continuous process because goods and new things come into style, new styles are coming in. We'll sign contracts for a year with the vendor, and then we'll reevaluate their position. We're going to have a lot of metrics that gauge the interest and because like I showed, we give 3 choices in each little pool. So if their gift is not being chosen, then there's some sort of discrepancy or problem in our little model. So we're always reevaluating. We have a team dedicated to hand choosing those vendors. Thank you.
Okay, we have time for one more question? 1 or 2 more questions? I'll exercise the moderator's prerogative and ask you, how would you deal with quality control problems from a vendor? How much contact, and how do you prevent the customer from really having an issue with the vendor and not with you, and you don't know about it, and all of a sudden business starts to drop off, or you start to get bad reviews on blogs and websites?
So we decided the first step there is to try to control the ecosystem. And what we started with is we handle all of the payments in-house. So from the beginning, we'll have our own picture of the item that we held in our own hands and were able to photograph. Then, towards the end of that process, we handle all the payments. So if there's any returns, there's no other company that those individuals turn towards. It's our packaging. They came to our website. They get emails from us. So all of their customer interaction is just with us. And then the goods are handled through us to the vendors.
Okay, one more question. Go ahead, Tom.
The ShoppyCat competitor that uses Walmart products only, are they owned by Walmart?
Yeah, they're made in Walmart labs, yes.
They are.
Okay, thank you, Gaffinity.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to talk to you today about the importance of small businesses. Now, small businesses account for roughly 99.7% of all businesses in America, amassing to 27.6 million small businesses. These businesses contribute 50% of our overall GDP and create 65% of American jobs. Clearly, they play an integral role in our American economic structure. So what's the problem? The problem is that 83% of these small businesses do not receive any funding at all. In an era where bank loans are scarce and it's impossible for a local entrepreneur to approach an angel investor or venture capitalist, we are in dire need of an alternative funding system. And that's where we come in. My name is Michael Inouye. These are my teammates, Michelle Nguyen and Smai Patel, and we are Speckle. We are an equity-based crowdfunding platform focused on funding your local businesses. Now, what is crowdfunding? In short, crowdfunding is the collective cooperation of a group of people who pool their money together to support a person, organization, charity, political campaign, or in our case, businesses. There would be a 4-step process that would work like this. First, a business would create an online profile and submit a funding goal. As the intermediary, we would perform a background check to make sure the business is legitimate. Third, investors would view their profiles and invest in the businesses if they're interested. And finally, if successfully funded, the funds would be transferred to the business and those investors become shareholders. Now, if you've been paying attention to the Jobs Act or the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act, you'll know that for the first time since the 1930s, our business model is legal. For the first time, businesses are allowed to raise over $1 million annually on our website, and unaccredited investors can invest in a business. How big is this market? The market is huge. According to the SBA, there are 550,000 new businesses every year with an average loan size of $80,000. Multiply these two numbers together, there's a need for $44 billion of funding. Now the question is there a supply for this funding? I'm here to tell you, absolutely. There's $30 trillion of American money vested in long-term savings accounts, pension funds, stocks, and bonds. And that $44 billion need accounts for 0.14% of that $30 trillion supply. So yes, there is absolutely a need, and yes, there is a supply. And in this huge market, we're bound to have competition. Well-funded websites such as crowdfunder.com and wefunder.com are already in existence. But what's their mantra? The mantra is, be a part of the next big thing. Invest in the next big thing. They want to fund the next Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, the next big tech company. So how are we, as Speckle, going to differentiate ourselves? We're going to crowdfund your local businesses. Why local? We believe a local investment is attractive for 4 reasons. First, from a business point of view, the absence of loan payments leaves a lot more room for working capital. And from a marketing perspective, if you have 200 people invested in your business, that's 200 people advocating, hey, go to Michelle's Bakery, they have the best cupcakes in the world. From an investor's perspective, only a local investor knows their local demographic. I'm not going to invest in a sushi restaurant if there's 12 other sushi restaurants in my neighborhood, and I'm keeping my money close to me. I'm not investing in a business that's 300 miles away where I have no idea what's going on. Finally, the businesses can offer exclusive incentives for these investors. For example, if you were to invest $200 in my bakery, I'll give you 10% off in my bakery for the next 2 years. So we believe that these 4 reasons are going to drive traffic to our website. Essentially, we want to create the most easy-to-use, best-looking, and efficient website out there. And what I mean by this, I'll show you. Designed by our own product designer, Samai Patel, this is the homepage to Speckle. As you can see, a really clean, easy-to-use design. If I click Michelle's Bakery, for example, I'll get sent to a pitch page. On the pitch page, there'll be a video, an executive summary, basically background of the owner and what they're going to use this capital for. If I click on the timeline or documents section above, I'll be sent to one of these pages. Here, you'll see a timeline, where the business has been, where it plans to go, a cap table, as well as financial projections for 1 year out, 5 years out. Basically, any information an investor would want to know before investing in this business. Essentially, we want to create the best-looking website, as I've shown here. And how we plan to enter this market? We want to launch our beta site in Santa Barbara, California. Santa Barbara for 3 reasons, one being a large demographic of wealthy population, 2, 120,000 people, as well as a really strong entrepreneurial culture. We want to handpick our first 8 businesses and set a standard for the kind of businesses we want on our website by helping them create their profile. We also want to target local organizations to recruit new businesses, such as the Santa Barbara Lead, and hire a PR firm to build us a strong community and social media presence. We're going to be using a business model similar to that of donation-based platforms like Kickstarter.com, who takes 5% of an overall transaction if funded successfully. So if a business is funded, we'll take 5% as a brokerage fee, as well as a 2.75%, which will go towards Amazon or PayPal, a funding portal so people know that they can give their financial information to a reputable company. With this business model, we plan to fund over 32 successful businesses after our first year, raising $183,000 in revenue. After expanding on a national scale locally, we believe that we can fund over 4,000 successful businesses after 5 years, raising $34 million in revenue. We believe we can do this because we have an excellent team. Myself, again, Michael Inouye, will be handling the marketing strategy. Michelle Nguyen will be handling our public relations. And of course, our product designer, Samai Patel, who designed the slideshow, as well as our website. We bring the energy, we bring the brand of Speckle, we bring the market research. We are also looking for a CEO with a securities law and financial background who will be the experience and the face of our company. We've also consulted with a number of professionals ranging from the former vice president of American Express to a crowdfunding expert to a web developer who will be developing our website when we're ready to launch. We're asking for $500,000 at 25% equity, which will be allocated towards web development, bringing this website to life, legal services, making sure we comply with the SEC, hiring our initial PR firm, which will do a majority of our marketing, and finally, our day-to-day operations. Our exit strategy is to either be acquired by a larger financial company or to pay out dividends within 5 years. Now, in light of recent legislation and evaluating companies such as Kickstarter.com, who have been operating for 2 years and now do over $150 million in transactions, the time to capitalize on this opportunity is right now. So give power back to your community, invest in Speckle, the revolutionary new way to fund your local businesses. Thank you.
I've got a series of questions, but first one would be, what percentage of the businesses that sign up for this you think would be startups versus existing businesses?
I think initially it's hard to gauge because our number is the 550,000. That's all new businesses, and there's no number to account for, what businesses plan to expand. So I can't tell you exactly, what the percentage would be. But I think initially it'd be mostly startups. The majority of them would be startups.
And then how do you decide which businesses actually go on the platform? I understand you do the business background or the background check and try and at least get credible people to come on. They've got to match the capital with whatever you're going to raise. But how do you decide who goes on, or does anybody get on as long as they meet those initial criteria?
As long as they meet the initial criteria of the background check and any regulations that the SEC sets forward, they will be allowed to go on our platform.
However, we do want to say that we're going to handpick our first businesses in our first year because we want to set a standard, like we said, for the kind of businesses we want on our website. We don't want just to allow everyone. So our first businesses are going to be picked.
With the opportunity for fraud to be pretty big in this emerging area, have you thought about how you protect yourselves as directors and officers and the insurance that you might need to protect yourself in case of lawsuits and so on, and built that into the model?
Yeah, we actually looked into that, and that's why one of the biggest reasons we do local businesses is so it allows local investors to actually meet with the people they're giving their money to, who they're going to trust, who they're going to be working with for the next couple of years with their money. So that's why we think local businesses will be a lot more successful.
And I also want to point out that donation-based platforms such as Kickstarter.com, Prosper, a lending website, and Crowdcube.com, which is the biggest UK firm that does this equity-based system. And after over 2 years of operation and over $400 million in transactions, there have been 0 cases of fraud. So it seems like there'd be, this big opportunity, but I think there'd be a lot of security measures in place to ensure that we can avoid those kind of things.
Okay, go ahead, John.
So good presentation. I really like the regional twist. I think that's a good way to differentiate yourselves. So I hear you saying you're going to pilot in Santa Barbara. I have 2 questions. One is, how soon after that will you roll out in another region, and what are the criteria? Because obviously you need a pool of investors and startups. And the second thing is, it's related. If I looked at your numbers, you want 180,000 of revenue in the first year. If you do do the math, that's 3.6 million of raised capital for 30 companies. That's about $1 million plus per company. That's actually a lot per deal. How did you guys come up with those kinds of projections?
Well,
if I'm doing my math right.
Yeah, our projections were based off of analyzing websites with similar models such as Kickstarter, donation-based, CrowdQ, which is equity-based but is located in the UK, as well as Prosper, who focuses on lending. So we took those numbers, we took into consideration the number of profiles that were opened as well as successfully funded projects, and we use those as a guideline to project our numbers.
So can you tell me Kickstarter's average raise per transaction?
Do you mean by average that Kickstarter profits?
No, the average money raised
Investment.
per Kickstarter deal through Kickstarter.
It's approximately $50,000, but many go on to get more than $50,000, so you're allowed to get $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. But Kickstarter has more volume. They're going to have more projects, more projects because it's donation-based. However, we're going to aim for very small numbers and get more investors who are interested in this platform. That's why we predict in the first year we can get 32 rather than a much larger number, such as what Kickstarter got.
Yeah, I think those numbers are based off mainly the equity-based in UK crowdcube.com, who successfully funded about 24 businesses after their first year, and we just think we can do better. We can do 32. Oh. And in terms of volume, they had 830 pitch requests on their website after 1 year. So I think, volume is not a huge deal.
Right, I just am focusing on dollars per deal, which obviously drives your revenue also. But thank you.
Okay, Joanne?
Yeah. My big problem here is that most local businesses have no exit strategy and have no way of returning capital or profits to the investors.
So one thing we're actually...
Did you all hear that? Okay.
So the first thing, as we mentioned in the slide, is that we want to offer incentives for investments. So this really changes the mental equation when you're investing in a company. If you're going to get discount at a bakery that you might be getting coffee at or cupcakes at for the next 2 years, it changes the mental equation you have to invest in this company.
Not me.
Can you get, could the panel members get a little closer to their mic so we can hear? This is a real spirited discussion. Yeah. Keep going, Joanne.
Yeah, but we're also looking into having businesses that come on our website mandate that after 5 years that the business offer investors their money, whatever the valuation of the company is, give a return on that. We're looking into this based on what role an intermediary or broker can play based on SEC regulations. So we're looking forward to talking to lawyers if this is a possible mandate that we can have on issuers.
Yeah, I was just curious as to why you chose to go with an equity base when local businesses rarely have an exit that shows a return. So.
Go ahead.
I have a slightly different type of a question. So 3 of you are obviously very talented. You made it through the finals. You're graduating from a premier institution. You can have a huge impact on the world. So when you think about doing something, you picked this business and this opportunity. What was the sort of call to action for you, each of you individually, if you will, that says to you that you want to spend the next 3 to 5 years of your life on this endeavor? Do you think this is how you'll have the biggest impact on society?
Go ahead.
I think it will. The reason why I'm doing this is because it's not just, when people invest in Speckle, it's not just an opportunity for us to make money, but we're making this happen for thousands and thousands of businesses to come. And we're making sure that the American dream is still alive in our time.
And I think just to answer Ms. Miller's question from the previous question, and to answer your question as well, Mr. Desai, I think that this is a prevalent problem in America. I know plenty of business owners that say, it's impossible to get a loan unless you already have money. And the reason why we chose to do an equity-based platform as opposed to a debt-based platform, for example, is because when you're actually invested in a business, you feel like you are part of it. And what we want to do, essentially, is allow people in the community to, say, I would really love to see, a flower shop open up in my neighborhood, and I want to be a part of it. We want to allow them to choose what businesses are going to be opening up. So I think that's a big motivation for why we're doing equity. And like I said, I think is a big problem now. And allowing the community to decide, what businesses they want is a huge thing. So
that implies a great deal of locality.
Yeah.
And so when you choose to move beyond Santa Barbara, how are you going to ensure that, if I'm, living in San Luis Obispo, how can I ensure that I'm only looking at San Luis Obispo businesses when I go to the site?
Yeah, it would be, really similar to, for example, Craigslist.com, or Craigslist.org, I'm sorry. And it would be, we would be expanding on a national level, but, very locally. So, how in Craigslist you can choose, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, and you're only going to be looking at San Francisco Bay Area listings. That would be how we would be too. Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
Do you plan, some of these debt platforms rate the companies, sort of high risk, low risk, medium risk? Do you plan on doing the same thing for these companies that will come on the site?
Based on the Jobs Act that just got passed, as an intermediary or broker-dealer of crowdfunding websites, we're not allowed to rate any of the companies that are portrayed on our website or post profiles on our website.
And when you think about expanding beyond your Santa Barbara home market initially, how scalable is it to really go out and roll this out regionally, locally around the country?
I think it's very scalable. I mean, if you know the website called Yelp.com, we're taking a really similar approach. They started in San Francisco, California. They kind of launched there, grew, and went to the next big urban city, similar to what we plan to do. We want to go to San Francisco, then work our way down up the West Coast, Portland, Seattle, and just attack those. And I think it's very scalable.
Do we have one more question? Panel? One more? I'm going to ask just moderator's prerogative again. Do you, how do you, it's a two-edged sword. If you're going to vet your companies very carefully at the beginning, how do you deal with possible claims of discrimination or legal claims? You funded the bakery on Chapala Street, but not the bakery on De La Vina. Why? And somebody sues you. And the second question, but that's related to that, is that you might find that there's a real equity market niche for like sushi restaurants or Pizza Hut pizzerias where you can actually do an equity deal and make a lot of money. How adaptable is your model to real inflection points in where you might really grow?
Regarding your first question, if one bakery in one local city is funded and another bakery in another local city is not funded, it's not up to us because it's the local investors who have the power to determine.
Well, you said you were going to be careful about choosing your first 30 to get the project funded, and there you really do have to pick some winners.
Yeah, we would go out to see who we think have the most potential, who already has executive summary, who already has prepared pitches to investors, and we're going to put those up first. Because at the end of the day, the profiles that are going to get funded are the ones that are most prepared, most thought out, and that's what we're aiming for. And regarding your second question is that on our website, one of the screenshots up there showed that, say if it's a bakery, you can narrow down, okay, these are all the bakeries in California. These are all the bakeries that are being funded in my area. If it's a pizzeria, you can, based on categories, you can narrow it down however you like.
And I just want to address your first question one more time. I think, in the beginning, it is a little discriminatory because we are essentially choosing the businesses we want. But I think it's like a necessary risk in the sense that if we allow anyone to come on in the beginning, it kind of allows for just, the quality of our businesses to be a lot lower. And, the investors aren't going to want to come back if all we have up there just, allowing anyone to post, so.
One follow-up, you used the Yelp example, and it's one thing when you go in and do a restaurant review and put it up on the site and the amount of due diligence that you do, very different than when you're doing due diligence on a new business that's borrowing money or letting investors invest in the business. And if you're going to be doing 4,500 or 5,000 deals a year, once you get that growth curve going, I'm still wondering about the level of due diligence that you need to do on each of those businesses and how many people, the size of the army that you would have to have in-house to be able to do that adequately before you would put a business up on site. So can you just give me a little bit more insight in terms of how that would work?
Regarding the due diligence is that a lot of legal documents, financial documents will be provided by the small business itself who wants to get funded. And when they post it up, we allow for, say, once the 500 investors are met, before they get the money, all the investors have to review the due diligence and electronically sign it, and then the money gets transferred. We ourselves aren't responsible, and we can't do any of the due diligence or any of the actions ourselves because we are an intermediary, and this is something that's been legally set by the Jobs Act.
Regulations
Okay.
still to come, right?
Okay, maybe the panel can stick around during the break and answer some informal questions from these guys, but we're going to take roughly a 15-minute break. Let's give a round of applause to Speckle.
Hi, my name is James Rogers, and today I'm going to introduce you to Appeal Technology and tell you why Appeal's good. Appeal Technology provides a proprietary solution created from natural plant extracts, which is applied to the surface of fresh produce in order to increase the shelf life of that produce without the need for refrigeration. Now, in the developing world, between 40 and 60% of fresh produce is lost to spoilage. In the United States, this number is closer to 20%. However, this reduction in post-harvest loss is only accomplished using expensive refrigeration and packaging techniques. Now, using our technology, we can eliminate these costly refrigeration and packaging techniques and thus accrue value to each member of the value chain in the fresh produce industry. We add value to growers who no longer need to harvest their crops early so that they're able to ripen during transportation, which is a common practice now. We accrue value to shippers who are able to offer higher value products to retailers and also reduce the amount of shrinkage which occurs during transportation. And we also reduce their refrigeration costs, which are a significant fraction of transportation. We also improve the value to retailers. Retailers would be able to offer higher quality products to their consumers and also reach new markets. And finally, we offer value to you, the consumer, who no longer would need to consider whether or not if they buy 1.5 pounds of strawberries versus a pound of strawberries, whether they're going to be able to eat all those before they have to throw them out. A little bit about the fresh produce market. The global market for fresh produce is $675 billion. The United States makes up $122 billion of this market. This boils down to about 313 pounds of fresh produce consumed per capita per year. Now, this amount of produce which is consumed has grown at a rate which has actually outpaced population growth in the United States. So as consumers have become wealthier, they've substituted other goods, they've substituted fresh produce for other goods which they used to consume. Now, within this 313 pounds, per capita, 7.2 pounds of this is from strawberry consumption. Now, this 7.2 pounds in the berry category. The berry category is actually the highest dollar sales category in fresh produce, and at the same time, the fastest growing. It's up 60% in the last 12 years. This is the highest of any fresh produce. Geographically, 49% of this $122 billion industry is located in California, specifically along the 101 belt. And of this 49% of this $122 billion industry, there are 1,300 shippers within California itself, and that's who our customer is. So if you look at the distribution of a market here I'm trying to display, we have a lot of disconnected producers and growers. Now they're aggregated by this large number, this 1,300 shippers, who then sell to retailers and then eventually sell to consumers. So our product is applied in this highly addressable segment, and that is these 1,300 shippers within California. Now, what's our product? Our product is called Edapeel. Edapeel is applied using a low-cost spray coating technique which coats fresh produce with an ultra-thin barrier coating, thus preventing the two causes of spoilage of fresh produce, which are water loss and oxygen attack. Now, because we use products which are extracted from natural plant extracts, our product is considered USDA organic. How does this work? Now, if you're a material scientist, or if you've ever taken a material science class, then you've seen this triangle many times, this relationship between structure, processing, and properties. Now, in this specific case, what we're looking for are molecules with specific properties, which will give us these two barrier properties, resistance to oxygen and resistance to water. And so after we've identified these components, which we've done, we then use high school chemistry to extract these components from natural plant extracts. We then formulate these molecules into a solution which is amenable to spray coating. And then after spray coating, these molecules self-assemble into this specific structure which gives us the desired properties of our films, and which prevent water loss and oxidation. Now, because our ingredients come directly from natural plant extracts, you're eating them already. They're completely safe to consume. They're in a category classified by the USDA as generally recognized as safe. Now, what is our competitive advantage? I mentioned two alternative technologies, one of which is refrigeration, has very high capital costs, and simultaneously very high operating costs because of the demand for energy. Now, we also have packaging, which has high capital costs, slightly lower operating costs. However, it is expensive to operate these facilities. And now in the bottom corner, we have our technology, which is extremely lowly capital intensive. It's a spray coating technique, very low cost processing, and very low operating costs because we source our product from basically non-used plant streams. We also have intellectual property in terms of two things: our formulation, which we can protect via IP, and our process, which will remain to a large extent a trade secret. However, there are certain aspects of this process which we can patent as well. Now, so a simple evaluation of how we will price this product, only considering the amount of produce which is lost to shrink. Now, shrink is the amount of weight that is lost during transportation. So water evaporates from the strawberries. This results in weight loss. So although you might buy 100 pounds of strawberries from the grower, by the time it gets to the retail store, you only have 90 pounds of strawberries left. This is a loss. So using USDA data, we're able to calculate for each different type of produce the farm production at harvest per capita, how much actually reaches retailers. So this gives us the amount of loss due to shrinkage. So you can see for the strawberry category, a large fraction is shrinkage, 8.33%. Now, we're also able to compare this to the average price of strawberries. So if we look at the average price of strawberries at $2.28 per pound, and we consider that we've lost 8.33% just during shipping due to this loss due to shrinkage, we can see that by applying our product to strawberries, we can increase per pound per capita 19 cents for each pound of strawberries. Now, by pricing our product at a small fraction of this value added, so 15% of the value added to the shipper, we can increase each shipper's sales margins by greater than 7%. Now, I'd like to point out that this data reflects only consumption within the United States, does not consider any of, the United States only makes up 1/5 of the fresh produce industry. And this increase also does not include the reduction in refrigeration costs, which is actually a much larger fraction of losses for shippers. So I'd like to tell you about the team who's going to do this. My name is James Rogers. I'm a PhD in Materials Department at UCSB. I was recently awarded the Polymer Physics Prize by the American Physical Society. My coworker, Zubin, is a PhD in chemical engineering here, also a top engineering program. And he has previous experience at a startup company in India. His father also works in the food processing industry within India. Who will both be graduates of the technology management program. We have an excellent team of advisors. Minos is a partner at the Fresh Link Group. He has 20+ years of industry experience. He actually introduced bagged lettuces to Costco Michael Kimes is the Chief Technical Officer of CNFA. He has 25 plus years in the development of, in basically managing introduction of new technologies in the developing world. And Dr. Roberta Cook, who's an Agricultural and Resource Economics professor at UC Davis, to help us with corporate strategy. I'd like to end here with our milestones. So you can see that our original formulation is strawberries, which is a highly concentrated market. Four grower shippers control 50% of this shipping. So this is what we see in year 2. You can see we have large sales, and our net income is increasing. And so we'll see throughout the years, we introduced 2 new products in year 2, or developed 2 new products in year 2, which are released in year 3. We developed 3 new products in year 3, which are released in year 4, and et cetera. And there are a large number of types of produce, 300 different kinds of produce, which by tailoring specific chemistry, we can address. With this, we're seeking $1.3 million in seed capital to pay for our first year of operations. And with that, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to understand a little bit about the source of your of the chemicals. You know, as they come out, you said there was plant extract, but could you just elaborate a little bit more about the sources?
Sure, absolutely. So the nice thing about this technology is that we're not supply side limited. We can draw these chemicals from any form of natural, any form of organic plant matter. So, for example, if there's a large harvest in apples and the prices go down, we can source from apples. Or we can even draw from, for example, the leafy green portion of fresh produce, which is not consumed by the consumer. So I don't like to say it, but we're drawing from waste streams from fresh produce.
And are you assuming that you will do that on site, or where will all this happen?
So this will occur in processing facilities. So in our financial projections, we show that we'll do this on site with a number of process engineers.
Thanks.
Yes.
Go ahead, John.
So processing facilities, are these owned by the growers?
So they will. So we will own the equipment. In our financial projections, we include the process engineers who will maintain that equipment within the individual processing facilities.
Are the processing facilities owned by the growers?
The facilities are owned by the growers.
Okay.
The shippers, excuse me, the grower shippers. The shippers are responsible for basically aggregating the large number of farms that they source from. And then they have large centralized processing facilities. And so our process engineers will be responsible for basically quality control within those individual facilities. And so the number of process engineers we have scales with the client base.
Do you have a sense on the return on investment for a processing facility investing in your process and thereby benefiting from the reduced spoilage down the distribution chain?
So our estimates on the price that we will charge them are only based on reduced volume sales based on mass loss. We have estimates of what they will be saving in terms of their reduced shipping costs in terms of refrigeration, but those are not included in any of the financial projections that we've given you.
Okay, thank you.
And these are really, really conservative estimates over now.
I've never heard anyone say that about their numbers before.
Go ahead, Tom.
So they don't own the processing equipment, you own it, but it's on their site, and then you guys maintain it.
Exactly.
I understand. Okay, so who's the most critical player in the chain? Is it the grower? Is it the shipper? Who do you have to convince to use the product?
So the shipper is the largest player in the chain. The retailer will decide whether or not to buy from a particular producer. And so the question is whether the grocery stores will be willing to buy this particular product. But based on current adoption rates of new technology for post-harvest, as long as there's no perceived difference by the consumer, adoption rates by retailers are not a problem.
And what is the risk there in terms of getting the USDA to bless this as organic?
So actually, according to the USDA, since we source our product from chemicals which are in all of the produce that we naturally consume, our molecules are in a category known as generally recognized as safe, which means that they don't require USDA approval. However, What we can do is make these molecules synthetically so we can make them for cheaper. So what we'll do is, although in the initial batches we'll be sourcing from plant matter, simultaneously we'll be pushing through this chemical through the USDA approval process, so long term we can reduce our production costs.
And so right out of the gate, you'll be
Right
able
out
to
of the gate,
label
we'll be
these
able to sell
organic
without USDA approval.
and label them as organic.
100% USDA organic, correct.
And then the last question is, given that we are in the heart of strawberry growers and shippers, have you tested this concept with them, and if so, what's the feedback been?
Yeah, it's been actually very interesting. So I had a conference call, a couple conference calls with the VP of Sales of Del Monte Fresh Division, Western Division of Del Monte Fresh, and also I've been speaking with sales representatives from Driscoll's, who are the largest strawberry manufacturers. Their first thing was actually it was interesting to me. They said, "Wow, strawberry is great." First comment from VP of Sales from Del Monte Fresh was, "Can you get this to work on Chilean grapes?" So a market I'd never even thought of. They said they have to fly them in because they spoil so quickly. So they're not only interested in strawberries, they're interested in the whole gamut of products.
Cable.
Just a sort of a two-part question on the chemistry of the process here. So you talk about essentially putting a membrane on each
Yes,
fruit, right?
exactly.
So what if the fruit is already wet to begin with? Does that capture the moisture underneath the membrane, and then it becomes a problem in the sense that it cannot escape? And then sort of the second question is, how much of this is already commercialized, sort of, it's an engineering challenge versus a science challenge? So how much of it is sort of outside the laboratory and into a production process? And then the sort of the third part of this, because I think it's related, you can answer it collectively, which is how much of a difference, what do you have to do incrementally for each new type of fruit? So you talked about strawberry, chili, and grapes. What is the chemistry or process changes?
Number 1 and 3 simultaneously. So both of those questions kind of ask the question of how important is the surface chemistry of the produce on producing the coating. The surface chemistry is very important. It determines actually how the individual molecules interact with the surface and how they arrange, and that structure is what gives us our properties, which enable us to extend shelf life. So that chemistry is very important, and that's why we've staged our development of these products from berry category to leafy greens to vegetables, because the surface chemistries are much more similar. So it does take additional R&D development, but if you look at our financial projections, we have a 1-year lead time on all of the products that we're producing. So our sales numbers, so we have excellent sales in year 2, but we have a large number of costs because we're releasing 3 new products in year 3. So that is a significant need for R&D. However, we've spent our last 5 years in our PhDs understanding this problem, so we believe that the turnaround time for new products will be low. If you could remind me the second question.
Yeah, the second question was around how much of it is science versus
engineering. This is mostly an engineering problem at this point.
Okay, great.
So the current state of the art is mainly polymeric films, and that's where our whole competitive advantage is, that we are operating with completely natural films. So that's a big selling point.
How far along are you on the patent process?
So we have not filed a patent. Working on, so basically we understand the prior art, and we figure out where we can stake our claims, and with what range of formulations we can apply. So we haven't filed anything, but by December, we plan to have a provisionary patent filed, and then we'll be able to begin production.
Okay. Thanks.
Go ahead, one more question?
Yeah, what do you think the biggest risk in the business plan is?
So the biggest risk, I believe, is reaching the grower shippers right now. However, what we have written into our business plan, and why we're asking for a relatively large amount of money, is to hire basically a heavy hitter sales and marketing guy year 1, so that we can hit the ground running once we've been able to scale up the process. So getting that key sales and marketing person to be able to develop those relationships with our large customers, because we're not talking about getting one customer who makes up 1% of the shipping market. We're looking for one customer who makes up 25% of the berry market. So that business plan wise, I think that's our biggest question mark right now.
So one more question.
Competitors, exits.
So there are 2 major types of competitive products in this segment. The first are a company called Nature Seal, and what they do, have you ever seen the fresh cut apples at McDonald's or Subway? That's their product. What they are, though, is an anti-browning agent. So they're treating the symptoms of produce spoilage, not the actual cause. So they are a competitor, although they use they're going it after a different way. So they're not reducing shrink, et cetera. So I believe we have a significant competitive advantage there. And the other competitors are basically anti-ripening agents. So 1-methylcyclopropene is generally used. It's actually produced by Dow, who's one of the sponsors, to make tomatoes so they actually don't. So you can harvest them when they're green, hit them with 1-methylcyclopropene, ship them to where you want them, and then ripen them in a tank outside of the grocery store. So that's a competing technology, although you only get 1/5 of the nutrients in your product if you don't do the vine ripening. So I believe we also have a competitive advantage there. Exits, I believe we could be acquired by one of the larger shippers. However, based on the diversity of products that we plan to be selling, I think an initial public offering is more in line.
Okay, thanks.
One last question would be applicability globally outside the U.S.
Absolutely. That's something that we didn't address at all in the presentation today. However, since we're not, like I said, we're not supply side limited, we can source our wasted produce streams in third world countries. So one of the things that I would really like to develop within this company is outreach to these developing nations and basically teach them how to do this process. Because it's such a low manufacturing cost and such simple chemistry. With training and outreach, I believe that we'll be able to not only generate profits within the developed world due to expanding demand for certain high-cost products, but also maintain low-cost crops and be able to reduce that 40 to 60% of spoilage in the developing world. I think it'll be a game changer.
And it's huge energy saving as well, so that's one other side.
Saving the world one strawberry at a time.
Well, that's where we're starting.
That's your marketing campaign. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's hear it for Appeal.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nabrad Chauhan. Today I'm going to be talking to you about AppScale. The very first, should I be standing here? So all right. The very first open source Google platform as a service. So let's say you have a website, and you have a few users going to that website. Now, what happens when you get very popular? You go viral. You have a lot of users going to your website. What happens on that one machine that you're running your website? Bad things happen. Your users can't get to your website. You're unhappy. Your reputation is hurt. So what can you do instead? You can use Google App Engine. Google App Engine will let you actually run your website on Google's infrastructure, and as you get more and more users, they will actually scale out your resources. You don't have to worry about the software, you don't have to worry about the hardware. This is great. But what happens when you get upset with Google? Maybe their service isn't too great. You try to call them on the phone, they're not picking up. The pricing is ridiculous, because you can't afford it anymore. What can you do? This is where AppScale comes in. AppScale lets you run those same websites on your own machines. So what is AppScale? We let you run Google App Engine applications on your own hardware. You can do this with multiple applications. You can do this with scale, where actually, as you're using more resources, we'll let you add more and more machines. We run this with Python, Java, and Go applications. And we're infrastructure agnostic, meaning if you have a set of machines, you can run AppScale on top of it. So there's 500,000 applications right now that run on Google App Engine. They also run on AppScale. So since 2009, we've had 7 releases, over 10,000 downloads, thousands of starts across the world. We run places such as IBM and NASA. And we've been funded by Google, IBM, the NSF, and the NIH by the tune of $2.1 million in R&D grant funding. So let's look at cloud markets here. At the very top, we're looking at public cloud offerings. This is where you can go and pretty much outsource your IT department. You can buy technology in terms of virtual machines or services, such as SaaS offerings. So here we're looking at a $241 billion market, and the other spectrum of this is private cloud. So think of a data center, you're a Fortune 1000 company, and you're actually trying to get the same elasticity, the same capabilities that public cloud is offering, but you want to bring it in-house, inside your data center. And this is where we come in. We will manage your infrastructure for you. So essentially our target customer is Fortune 1000 companies that have virtualized data centers. So what is our value offering here? So first and foremost, we're going to lower your system administration costs. No longer, if you're a developer at this Fortune 1000 company, you have to go to a system admin and say, look, I need you to set up a data store for me, or a database. I need you to set up a machine for me so I can run my web service. Now you can just go to your manager will say, there's an app skill deployment right there, go and run it over there. So what does that mean if you're a developer? Faster time to value. You can crank out your websites much quicker. You're actually able to generate revenue much quicker. Since AppScale can scale your resources up and down based on usage, we're actually going to save you infrastructure cost and also save you on power savings. We eliminate lock-in. So right now, if you have your website for Google App Engine, you can actually use AppScale to move away if you want to. And this is actually one of the reasons Google was the initial funder. They're very cognizant of the fact that it's a barrier to entry when they actually looked at customers, and the customers are saying, well, no, I don't want to be locked in. Now they can just say, no, there's AppScale. If you want to leave, AppScale is an option for you. We also have other capabilities, hybrid cloud. This is where we actually connect multiple clouds together. So if you have your application running on Google App Engine, you can sync your data locally on an AppScale deployment, and you can do things such as analytics on your data, find out what your customers are doing, find out what your business is doing. Second, disaster recovery. For whatever reason, if Google goes down, no one has 100% uptime, including Google. You have AppScale as a local deployment that you can actually do business continuity. Third, we're working with Google right now and figuring out how we can do cloud bursting. How can you take those applications that are running in your data center and burst out to get more resources as you need them? So the business model here is twofold. First and foremost is what we've been doing, an open source edition that we give out to the public for free to use. So this actually helps us to shorten our sales cycles because the people that are working at these Fortune 1000 companies, their developers are using AppScale, and when the CIOs, the CTOs, the C-level executives come and talk to the developers, we're going to have proponents inside the company. Next, it's what we're selling, the enterprise edition. So let's say you're a data center, you're running proprietary software inside. Let's say VMware or an Oracle database. This is where we'll give you the stubs to run AppScale with those proprietary implementations. And we'll charge you based on just a standard IT licensing, also training, professional services, and support. Lastly, the App Store. So there's 500,000 applications right now that run on Google App Engine. A subset of those makes sense to run in a private setting. So essentially we're going to do the App Store for the enterprise. One-click shopping, you can buy an app, you can have, streamline your business processes. So right now, AppScale is already incorporated. We're a C Corp. We have legal representation with Stradling, a local law firm here. They actually represent a lot of the tech guys around here. We have our first customer lined up. So this customer, they love App Engine, and they want to expand their market. They're doing really great here in the US, and they want to go elsewhere. They want to go into China. The problem with China is China blocks all the traffic that goes out to Google, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, it's probably blocked. This is a great firewall of China. For them to go into China, they have one option, and that's us, AppScale. So we actually own this market, we own this niche. We're partners with Eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is a company, essentially they are to Amazon EC2 as we are to Google App Engine. They were able to take the technology from the lab here and turn it into a very successful company. Their executives and their founders have been very helpful for us strategizing how we want to take AppScale and commercialize it. We have a great relationship with Google. So Google was the first company to actually fund us, and they also give us reference customers to talk to, potential new customers to bring on board, great amount of press, and the funding has been nice also. So we've been approached by Apache and Ubuntu to come and join their distributions. We've yet to decide if we want to go with them or not. If we do join them, essentially what we're going to get is great press, marketing, and whatnot, but we're holding off till Series A to actually figure out what's best for the company. So the team here, we have myself and Chris Bunch. We're PhD candidates, experts in cloud computing. The initial team that we're bringing on, over 10 PhDs. These are experts in cloud computing, distributed computing, and parallel computing. So our technical team is rock solid. And then we have great mentors and advisors, such as the CTO and Woody Rollins, who actually were co-founders of Eucalyptus. Also, Edward Shaughnessy has been helping us out from Intel Capital, giving his perspective from the VC side. So looking at the 5-year roadmap, we see that the first year what we want to do is go out there, shake off the perception of being essentially we're seen as a research project, and we want to shake that off and become production-ready software. Year 2, we're looking at doing an enterprise edition, essentially what I was telling you before, the Oracles, the VMwares, all those stubs that we can actually go and sell to Fortune 1000 companies. And then the App Store idea as well. From year 3, we anticipate to break even. 4 and 5, we'll see that the sales cycle start to close, and the App Store will start generating massive revenue. So exit strategy and funding. So right now we're seeking our Series A funding. We're not disclosing publicly how much we're looking for or what our valuation is. In terms of exit strategy, we could be bought by a multitude of different companies. Any of these guys that want to make a play in the IT field that we're in right now, they can look to us, acquire us, not just for the technology, but for the great engineering talent that we have as well. And if we see that the market is much bigger than we were anticipating, we're going to aim for an IPO. So over the years, we've been doing this since 2008 when we initially started. We've had tremendous press, and we have partners. And we're talking with people such as HP, Netflix, so on and so forth, that are really interested in this technology. We have people in governments around the world that are running this technology. And I want to thank you guys for listening to me. Thanks.
So clearly you guys have a very talented technology team and experienced advisors. So I'm not going to ask you about the technology piece. I'm going to ask you about the market segmentation, if you will. And it seems like there are really sort of 2 bets here. One is that enterprises will adopt Google App Engine over Amazon AWS or Rackspace, right? So you've made your bet on Google succeeding, which actually it has not until now. In terms of market leadership, Amazon is clearly number 1. So help me understand why you think that Google App Engine will become the cloud platform of choice for companies at large. I think that's question 1. And then question 2, you're bringing the cloud inside the enterprise. You're bringing it on-prem. And within sort of in the on-prem market, VMware has had a pretty large footprint in terms of virtualizing the enterprise, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea of scaling on demand through virtual servers, it's really essentially their lock. So help me walk through the thinking you have in terms of how you will penetrate the market, and what happens if, let's say Google App Engine never becomes a market leader, that Amazon is, there for a long time.
Okay.
So being infrastructure agnostic that we talked about earlier, we can really run wherever we need to. So we already can run on Eucalyptus, we can run on Amazon EC2 already, and pull in different types of infrastructure as we need to. We can run on OpenStack, working on CloudStack right now as well. And it's to emphasize that it's really any kind of infrastructure we can just take and run over it with no problem. So if somebody goes and dies away one day, we can automatically leap onto somebody else. Along the Google App Engine lines, we are only initially betting on Google App Engine as the big leader in the field. And since we already have API compatibility with them, they're kind of an easy starting margin. But we're also looking out to branch out into like the Ruby on Rails segments, the Sinatra segments that are being taken up by like Heroku, who was acquired by Salesforce.
Right, in terms of so before we thought, do we want to make this a commercial venture? So we talk with the Google guys really often. So they're always telling us what their next roadmap is and whatnot. So our relationship is great with them. So they told us essentially last year they were at about 200,000 applications. This year they're at about 500,000 applications. Their growth is tremendous. Last year they had 1.5 billion page hits a day. Now they're at 7 billion page hits a day. So their growth is just going skyrocketing. So the uptake is actually there. And this is where we want to partner with them and actually market for them. So I think that maybe they really need a third party to go and market for them, and we can be that party. And this is actually, a great symbiotic relationship we can have with Google.
What have you found when you talk to the first customer you signed up? As you talk to more customers, are you finding them asking you this question of, hey, we're already on AWS, why should we pick Google App Engine? Or do you think that they've already made their choice of Google App Engine over Amazon, and then you were sort of the team that brings that within the enterprise so that they don't have to rely on the public cloud?
Right, so the initial customers, they're already on Google App Engine. Yeah. So I mean, we already have a lot of inbound requests for contracts and whatnot. And these customers, either they want to go into China or Europe or something, or they want to do something, they have like, so we have a guy in Belgium, he has a startup, an app that everybody likes. BT comes along and says, we like your app, but we're not going to run it on Google App Engine. Mm-hmm. And so this is where we come in. The only way for them to run that app in their data center is us. So we have a lot of ways that we're actually getting market pull.
So I'm hearing a lot of Google really likes us, but we're betting on having advantages over Google App Engine as an alternative. What I heard early on was they're expensive and hard to get on the phone, and then later I heard they don't operate in China. So what other benefits are there besides those three?
So essentially, we're not going heads up against Google. So we're taking up the white space that they're not covering. So they cannot go into data centers, right? Because they're not going to ship code. They're never going to ship their entire,
So you're the private side of Google.
We're the private cloud end of their public, right? We're not looking to go heads up against them.
Okay, well, that it's hard to parse that out of your presentation, so I just wanted to clarify it.
Right, we're just giving you another option. If you want to leave, you can with AppScale.
Go ahead, Tom.
Is Google going to be one of your investors in Route A?
We've been thinking about that. And we may not go that route, maybe a later follow-up round, or B or C if we do go that route. But in the initial A, we want to have independence from them.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about I don't think you really answered Kaval's question about VMware in the private sector, so will you do that? And then also talk a little bit about other competitors or competitive alternatives to yours.
Great, yeah. So number one competitor would be VMware's Cloud Foundry. It's open source also, and so the way we distinguish ourselves is we have apps. We have over 500,000 apps right now. Cloud Foundry, I couldn't tell you how many apps they have. We've been out here since 2009. They've just recently released their stuff. So we're a first mover in this regard, and also we're the big data pass. So since Google has a certain programming model that they enforce on programmers, this makes it so we can scale the front end, the middle, and the back. Whereas Cloud Foundry, they kind of let the developer do whatever they want. And so they're going to hit pain points when they try to scale out to the point where we can keep going.
Thanks.
And biggest risk going forward in your business plan?
So I would say the team that we have in terms of our technology is tremendous. I think what we really need is like a great VP of sales, guy who knows the CIOs, the guy who knows the CTOs, and get us in there when we have our enterprise edition ready.
So, moderator question. This sounds like an ancient business strategy called walk next to a heavy wagon, something may fall off. What happens if Google settles with China and you don't have a market there?
So
and what are the other risk factors? Because I don't think you really got to all the risks involved.
Okay, so if China and Google become good buddies again, that is not actually we're betting our bet on private cloud. We're going to be the private cloud solution. And so initially, we'll go and make our initial play to get validation with these Chinese customers, or they're US customers that want to go into China. But at the end of the day, we're going after Fortune 1000 companies.
Moderators or panelists?
Well,
Another question?
I'm still struggling with the answer to the biggest risk, being the VP of sales. So help me think through that. If that's the only risk that you can see, is hiring a good VP of sales.
Sure. So that's definitely not the only risk. There are.
But that's the biggest risk.
We consider that to be one of the bigger risks. Some other things we've looked at from the financial numbers are that getting a team.
Because if that's the biggest risk, I'll sign up.
Raj, I would say that's the biggest risk. What do you think? That is the biggest risk.
I guess just one other thing.
We have so much inbound requests for contracts, and since we're still PhD students right now, we've had to push them away. So from the get-go, we're going to have inbound contracts from the very beginning. So the revenue is going to be coming in from the very beginning. it's once we've actually established ourselves as a leader in this area, we shake off the fact that we're a research project. We're now production ready. I think it's going to be that nice hockey stick curve that you saw.
Go ahead, John.
So I get the impression you guys have been working on this for several years.
Yeah.
Why are you only now bringing it to market and trying to commercialize it and making it more than a science project?
We want to make sure that we get our doctorates first.
So we want to make sure you get your doctorates first, okay? Good strategy. Hope the faculty is listening.
I think just following up on Tom's question, I think a bunch of us have said, I think, the same thing in different ways. But I think the one thing to think about as you go forward is you have the advantage and the disadvantage of having a very strong company as your partner. But I think you have what's proverbially called a platform risk, which is the same risk that Zynga has with Facebook, or Intel had in the early days with Microsoft, or actually Microsoft had with IBM, which is that you partner with somebody who is going to be your market maker, but they could also be your market taker. And I think you want to...
So in taking in terms of the private sector?
I just think that I think you have two risks here. One is that, as you pointed out, the Google App Engine platform is only as good as the apps that run on it. So, in Belgium, for example, if this guy has a killer app and all the enterprises want that app, but they want to run it on premises,
right, then
I agree they would adopt Google App Engine. But it's very likely that Google App Engine may not become the dominant cloud platform. It might be Amazon. So I think that's sort of risk number one. And I think Chris's answer is, well, you can move away from Google, which is fine, but I think that usually takes a while. Switching costs are high. And the second item is you're trying to bring the cloud inside the enterprise, which I think is a brilliant idea. I think a lot of companies who don't want to be on the cloud, they want to have cloud applications but running on their own servers. But I think there you have VMware. And I think the question for you is if you bet on the Google App Engine platform, does that actually only delay your competitive differentiation against VMware? Because VMware is not standing still. They're going out and expanding their on-premise solution as well. So I just think it's a really good thing to have Google behind your, sort of wind behind your sails early on. But as you grow the business, you may want to think about how that impacts your quote-unquote platform risk. And again, I mean, there are companies like Zynga that have gone out in public and they have a huge risk on Facebook, right? I mean, if Facebook turns their algorithm, Zynga would have a problem. A lot of the e-commerce companies have a similar risk on Google. Google changes the search algorithm and your e-commerce traffic could go up and down significantly. So I just think it's something you want to acknowledge and deal with it.
Just final comment, because I can't resist it. Your biggest challenge may not be the marketing officer, because I think you guys are great spokespeople for your product. It may be a tough-as-nails finance guy who's going to take that non-Google equity, keep enough cash there that you've got muscle so you can push Google away and make yourself look really valuable to Amazon, and also convince those Fortune 1000 companies that you got staying power. That's it. Thank you.
Hi. So we all know that smartphones are awesome. They control everything from email, text, you name it. What you may not know is that smartphones already control over 50% of the cell phone market, and within 5 years, feature phones will be nearly obsolete. Now, some of the things that people love about smartphones, not only the ease of use, but the customizability that comes with the App Store. Now, at Bright Blue, we plan on revolutionizing home automation using your smartphone and bringing that same ease of use and customization to controlling every facet of your home environment. And we plan on doing that with the Otto. Named after the first son of King Bluetooth, Otto was once known for connecting Norway, Denmark, and England under one control before he died. In the same way today, Otto will be remembered for connecting all of your lights and appliances under one device, your smartphone. Now, the Otto is a plug-and-play device that runs over Bluetooth 4.0 technology and allows users to instantly connect with their cell phones to control all of their lights and appliances that are plugged into it. It's completely customizable. It also requires no installation and is the most affordable product on the market in the home automation industry today. Each plug will also be built with our custom proximity settings. Now, all Otto plugs will be run using our Blue Mesh technology, which allows users where even if they're out of range of one plug in their house, they'll still be able to connect and control any appliances when they're in range of their Blue Mesh network. And finally, we plan on bringing the world's first open source app store for your home called the Auto Market. Now, setting up an Auto is as simple as taking it out of the package, plugging it into a wall, plugging any lighter appliance into the other side. Now, from this point, it only takes 25 seconds for a user to connect with their phone and instantly get control over features like dimming, proximity, and power measurement. On top of that, developers will be able to not only use the hardware features that we provide, but they'll be able to exploit functionalities on the cell phone, such as the GPS or accelerometer, to create apps of any use case. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble reading my notes. Ben, you think you could help me out with that? Yeah, I got you. Jeez, dude. Turned out a little bit. It's all right, a little bright. Is that better? Up a little bit more. All right, thank you. Ben Chang, our VP of Engineering. So some of these apps could include anything from a notification system if you want to set up in your house where every time you get an incoming call or text, a light flashes in the house. Or you could even have developers create fully interactive games using the lights and appliances in your house. So now I'd like to introduce you to the rest of the Bright Blue Dream Team. Complete with 3 engineers, we not only have the technical background, but we have the marketing, sales, and business skills to get this company off and rolling after graduation this spring. Now, along with the money that we'll be looking for from investors, we'll be looking for somebody who can add value to our team in both the business direction and product development of our company. Let's take a look at the home automation industry today. You have products such as Belkin, Z-Wave, and X10, which are on the lowest of costs on home automation systems today. However, the customizable features are at a minimum. In order to get features like profiles and custom settings on your devices, you're going to have to shed out thousands more dollars for systems like Creston, Insteon, and Control4. What we're trying to do with the Auto is not only bring you the most affordable home automation system on the market today, but allow you to customize your home environment in a way that's never been possible before. And that's thanks to the Auto Market. On top of all these convenience factors I've talked about today, one of the biggest is that the Auto will be the cheapest and easiest way to set up a green home today. Using our subscription features, users will not only be able to get hourly breakdowns of their power measurement of each auto plug they're using, but they'll be able to use our self-learning algorithm to monitor their daily habits and routines and save you money without you having to do anything at all. How cool is that? On top of that, Autos will all be programmed directly out of the box to set up custom proximity settings. For instance, if I'm standing here and I set a proximity distance to that lamp, as soon as I walk out of that proximity distance, the light turns off. Now, as I walk back into it, the light turns back on. It's as easy as that. What it allows users to do is never have to worry about leaving a lighter appliance on when they leave the house again. Not only that, all auto plugs will disconnect power completely from your appliances so that you can be rest assured that no appliances are draining any phantom power on their standby modes. I'd like you all to meet Jenny. Jenny is 25 and she works at a young startup in San Francisco. She's always busy. She finds herself having to multitask just to get through the day. Now, because of this, Jenny relies on her smartphone to control almost every facet of her life. Her work, her calendar, social life, and now her one-bedroom apartment on Market Street. For less than $200, Jenny was able to completely automate her home all by herself. 6 a.m. comes around Monday morning. Like most of us, Jenny has a difficult time getting up for work. Not to worry. Jenny set her alarm clock app to dim on a lamp in the morning with her alarm to help her get up. Not only that, she preset her water heater, coffee maker, and bathroom heater to all turn on before her alarm even went off, so that by the time she got out of bed, those were all ready to go. 8 a.m. comes around. Now, despite how planned Jenny's morning was, she still ends up rushing out the door at 8 to avoid being late for work. In her rush to find her keys and get to her car, she happened to leave on her lights, her toaster oven, and her curling iron. Well, like most of us, we would get about halfway to work, realize this, be forced to go back. But not Jenny. She preset her auto away mode on her system to turn off all of her lights and appliances the second she walked out of the proximity of her home. Let's fast forward, 6 p.m. Jenny comes home, groceries in one hand, briefcase in the other. She opens the door. Her lights turn on without her having to drop a single bag. Not only that, she's able to program her music player to turn on the second she opens her door. So 11 p.m. comes around. She gets into bed, and right as she's about to fall asleep, she realizes, oh no, she left her TV and her DVD player on the other room. Not to worry, Jenny just rolls over, hits sleep mode on her phone, and all of her appliances are disconnected from power for the rest of the night. Now, it took Jenny about a week for a self-learning algorithm to start learning her daily habits and start taking over some of these features without her having to program anything. So, we're offering you all these features that I mentioned to you today for the low cost of $25 per auto plug. With COGS of $13, we plan to make a 48% profit margin on all of our hardware. However, hardware is not the central focus of our business model. We will be focused on our value-added software and subscriptions. For this reason, in the first 2 years, we'll be aggressively searching for an OEM to not only build our products, but also to help us expand our product line to power strips, replaceable light switches, and replaceable outlets. Now, even though our profit margins will decrease significantly with an OEM, we'll be able to take advantage of their pre-established distribution and retail channels to allow us to reach a much broader market at a much faster rate. So looking at the software side, we'll be selling our Bright Blue app on the Google and Apple Marketplace for $1. Of that $1, we'll retain 70%. Google and Apple retain the remaining 30%. Now, with each auto plug, we'll be giving away one free app download, so the user who buys an auto plug will not have to purchase this app. Looking at all the apps downloaded off the auto market, we will retain 30% of all app revenue that is purchased on the auto market, and developers will maintain the industry standard 70%. So looking at our finances now, we kept our numbers very conservative, but as you can see in this breakdown, what we expect is that as the years go on, hardware will become a lesser and lesser focal point of our business. And we see that in year 3, when we expect to get into a retail outlet, that this is when we'll see a big increase in the number of apps purchased and subscriptions bought. So today we'll be asking for $1 million to get us through year 2. And that's when we expect to get an OEM to make our hardware for us and hopefully get into a retail outlet. So today, we are starting a whole new era of home automation. And now, customizing your home is as simple as turning your house bright blue. Thank you.
In your example of Jenny, she spent $200 and it's $25 per outlet, as I understand it. So that's 8. Again, if I'm doing my math right. No, wait, let me finish. That's not the question. So she has somehow figured out that by spending $200, she's going to save on her utility bill. How much does Jenny spend in a normal year on electricity, and how much will she save by installing these 8 plugs off her utility bill?
So we'll be, to answer your first question, so we'll be offering a package where if you buy 5 plugs, you actually get, or buy 4 plugs, you'll get a 5th free. What the research that we've done is, on average, people waste around $160 a year based off of leaving appliances on, leaving TVs plugged in, draining power. And so right off the bat, auto plugs can take care of all phantom charging and the risk of leaving your lights on. So depending on how good people are on, Jenny's not a real person, so we don't know exactly how well
Just like
she
Julia.
is, how good she is at normally turning off her lights and appliances. But on average, we look to save a significant amount for each user.
So hearing your example, she'd save $160, your prototypical customer.
100 to 150 is.
So a year and a half-ish payback on her $200 investment, and then after that, it's gravy. Thank you.
Okay. Joanne?
What's the state of development right now?
So,
I'll take it. Right now, we saw the prototype. We have our initial, I call it the alpha product. We have the hardware built on Bluetooth 2.1 right now. We're working on getting to Bluetooth 4.0, low energy, so it doesn't take up, or it doesn't consume more energy than it saves you. Also, we're developing our current app on Android 2.1. We're looking to develop it on iPhone, but there's certain, the MFI program, to get into the MFI program, Apple has certain authentication with their hardware and stuff, so we're still looking into that. But the current product, we can do dimming on-off, proximity, and our next iteration will have AC power measurement, and we're also looking on developing our software, and we'll be releasing our new Android app soon.
When do you expect to get first customers?
So we've been getting a lot.
Customers or whatever. You know.
Taylor, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so we're looking towards the end of this summer to start our beta testing program where we'll give out, we decided that around 200 plugs to family, friends, and start getting feedback off of that, and then hopefully launch by the end of the year a full marketable.
Tom?
How do you plan on dealing with those that might need help with professional installation? Jenny might not need it, and a lot of the younger generation, but I'm thinking about my mom or dad, there's just no way they'd be able to install this on their own.
So we'll be offering on our website lots of blogs and forums, different ways that people can set up their home and customize it in different ways. But we'll have, it's taking the plug is as simple as taking it out, plugging it into an outlet, and plugging something into it. And then we'll have a lot of user manuals and stuff on how to connect with your phone and make it as simple as possible.
We have call centers?
Yes, we'll have customer service call centers that can help out at any point.
And the second question is, any security issues where my neighbor needs to be concerned that I can control their lighting and appliances and so on?
So we're looking at treating the Blue Mesh network similar to how your airport is at home, where if a user wants to use it, they come in and ask for a password, and it'll be password encrypted, and then if you want to give your friend access to your lights and appliances with their smartphone, you can give them that password, and then you can get access to that. But it will be password encrypted, and in order to pair with it, you'll have to have the number that's written on it, because each Bluetooth chip has a specific PIN and pair number that you have to put in before you can connect with it.
Cable.
Yeah, I was following up on Tom's question. Talk more about the initial setup. So if I get the plug, I can order it through the website or buy it somewhere and then install it. The user has to, each user in the home, so let's say Jenny's maybe a single person, let's say it's a family and multiple smartphones in the house. Each smartphone would have to be synced individually, right? Yeah. And then what about the actual appliances themselves? Do they have to be, how do you build a Blue Mesh network? Do the appliances have to have Bluetooth as well, or no?
The appliances, no. So the only Bluetooth will be in the plug itself, and that will be able to control on-off, dimming, power measurement, things like that. Okay. But controlling appliances like an oven or a microwave, you won't be able to do that. However, we are looking further down the line of trying to get into OEMs and trying to get our technology actually built in so you can have control over features like that.
So initially it's an on-off switch?
Initially it's an on-off and being able to read the amount of power that it's consuming.
And then what about the drain on the phone itself?
Bluetooth 4.0 technology is, as you know, is really low power. Bluetooth in general is low power. We've used our phone. We've done tests where we connect it throughout the whole day and walk around the house and stuff, and we have no power issues.
But with Bluetooth on, there's about a 5% difference in battery consumption on your phone. But the way we're trying to do it is it's not actively communicating with all the devices. So when it's not communicating, consumes less power. And even on our hardware side, we don't want it to consume power. So our microprocessor and our Bluetooth module, they go into sleep mode almost, and they consume less than a milliwatt.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, John.
One of the issues that comes to mind is that it's difficult to convince people to pay money up front to save modest amounts of energy, and the obvious example is energy efficient light bulbs, which are more expensive but promise savings. how do you convince people to spend money on something up front, given that I believe it's my impression that energy efficient light bulbs have not overtaken the market because people just don't want to spend more money for that light bulb?
So, so one of our main functions is allowing people to save money, and we, compared to things like energy-saving light bulbs and solar panels, we actually have a much quicker rate of return on investment. But we're hoping that along with the energy benefits, that we'll be able to convince you with the ability to customize your home in different ways, the added benefit of the App Store, and our self-learning algorithm, which will be a subscription fee, but it will be monitoring your daily habits and routines and coming up with new ways that you can save money that you wouldn't even think of customizing your house. And it will do it all on its own.
Could you just offer one thought on that? I mean, it's not a question, just a comment. From just investing in consumer internet companies for several years now, I would say if you can figure out that entertainment as opposed to cost savings as your primary value prop, I think you might do better. People spend lots of money on entertainment television and not much on energy efficient light bulbs, surprisingly.
Tom?
What do you guys think the biggest risk to the business plan is?
I would say our biggest risk is somebody like a Google or an Apple coming out with an app store for your home. However, we do know that Google is coming out with an Android at home. We know that their light bulbs are going to be priced in the $125 to $150 range. So our main goal is, we understand that our hardware is going to be difficult to protect. So we want to keep our hardware costs low, get that out in as many people's hands, and make money off of our value-added software and subscriptions. So I say that would be one of the biggest risks. And also, currently we don't have any business majors, so we're looking for somebody to add to the team that can help us with some of the big business decisions that we'll be faced with.
I think also, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was say the competitors you identified earlier were U.S.-centric competitors, I believe. Is anybody using this technology globally?
From our research, there's nobody using Bluetooth home automation to create a whole system for your automated home.
Thanks.
Also, to add to your question, I think getting developer traction will also be one of our key initial pushes. We're going to get, as the number of developers is key to how our business runs, because we want as many apps as possible out in our app market, and we want to market heavily to developers and have a very good presence in online social media and blogs to get early adopters for our technology, especially on the developer front.
Exit strategy?
Well, we're looking at maybe being bought by a company like an Insteon or a Creston that has these home automation features, but they're looking to add on in like an app store type of way, and in a whole new automation way.
One more question? Okay. Thank you very much, Bright Blue.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Peter Hartman, and I'm the chair of the local MIT Enterprise Forum. Before I say a few words, I just want to congratulate the TMP team here for putting this new venture competition together. I mean, it's awesome. It really is. I think we should give them a great applause. So, we're very honored to be a part of this event, and MIT, of course, is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and we are one of 28 chapters in the world, and we've been here in Santa Barbara for about 26 years, and our mission is very straightforward, and we work with entrepreneurship, and we do that in a couple of ways. We have a motto basically saying that we educate, we connect, and then we inspire entrepreneurs in our community. And we do that with 9 events that we put together every year in terms of education. So I wanted to plug a little bit about our upcoming event before we get into the award. We have an event here next Wednesday, May the 16th. It's going to be about a company that actually came out of UCSB. It's called Transform. Transform is a very up-and-coming company and are doing some great things here in the community. And we're going to do a study of what they are doing in their market and so on. And I'd like to see you coming to that event. It's going to be at the Carrillo Art Center down at the Carrillo Beach. We start at 5 o'clock and runs to 8 o'clock. So I hope to see you all there. The other thing I want to say is that we have another event coming up on May 20th, which also happens to be around UCSB, believe it or not. It's about one of the biggest issue right now in clean technology and so on, and that is energy storage. And we have some great presenters talking about that, and I hope to see you in those events as well. So, talk a little bit about the award here, and then I got off the stage. We decided at our board that we wanted to do something for social entrepreneurship in the community. So we put together an award to promote that, and this is actually the first year. And we hope that we will be able to grow this, because I think that the social entrepreneurship is a growing sector in entrepreneurship in general. And I was fortunate enough to be out here on the pitches that was done going into this new venture competition, and a lot of the pitches was around that. So we will see a lot of doing well by doing good. So we have reviewed all the folks that started in the new venture competition and the semifinalists, and we have picked one winner, and I'm going to let one of our judges here, Gideon, come up and introduce the winner and say a few words about why we picked them, and I'm very pleased to introduce Gideon.
I could lean down really far, or just yell for all of you. Well, I'm really honored to be here. I have to say, first of all, that this was a really tough decision. I know that's a little bit cliche for a judge to say, but in this case, it's very true. There were some great teams, and there were actually 2 or 3 teams that could have won this award. But being that it's our first year having this award, we really wanted to pick a team that we felt really embodied what we believe this award is going to be, which is consistent with the mission of the MIT Enterprise Forum, which is to foster entrepreneurship specifically around technology in the Central Coast, as well as the social entrepreneurship component, which is really about changing the world through entrepreneurship and hopefully leveraging technology in our case to do that. So without further words, I'm going to announce that we gave the award this year to Forget-Me-Not Sourcing. Exactly how they want to do this, but congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Congratulations.
And we wish you a lot of luck, and hopefully this will be one of many checks that you're able to collect.
Thank you.
It's great.
Okay, now for the awards that are being presented to those 6 wonderful companies that presented just in the last couple of hours. My name is Henry Dubroff. I'm the editor and owner of the Pacific Coast Business Times weekly business publication for the Central Coast, and I would be remiss if I didn't introduce a member of our team, Stephen Nellis, our senior editor and technology editor, who's here covering today. And we have a couple of sample publications for you to take with you as you leave, and you can always sign up or find us at www.pacbiztimes.com. Now, it's my pleasure to reintroduce Mike, who will present our Market Pull Awards for 2012. So please welcome Mike Panesis, who's going to come on stage and hand out some cash.
Thanks, Henry. I think what we're going to do for the teams, we'll do the photos afterward. So once you receive your award, hang off to the side, and we'll take some photos. But we'll get right to the awards now. So I'd like to get the teams all up on stage. We'll do this all at once. It'll be like American Idol style. Giffinity, we might not be able to fit all of you, but we'll try.
Come on, Giffinity.
Come on, Speckle.
Where's Speckle?
Speckle's over
You
there.
have
No,
12?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Is there room for a booth?
Like rabbits.
What's that?
Can we put the booth here too?
No, you can't put the booth there. Okay, so here we go. We'll start with third place. Goes to Speckle. Easily in the ATM. Okay, second place, which means that the other one gets first. But what's the Miss America thing? If first place isn't able to fulfill, then second place gets their money. Second place goes to Giffinity.
We got a few more in the back.
So that leaves us with first place. I have to say something about this team, because throughout this competition, from the very beginning, we looked at this and said, birding? Really? And every step of the way, they not only impressed us with the technical part of what they were doing, but with the business part as well. And I'm pleased to see them up here, and I think that this is a deserving first place. All the teams are deserving, but I'm thrilled to see Birdeez up there. So first place to Birdeez.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay, so if the market pull guys would exit stage, whatever that way is, we'll take some more photos. And thanks very much to everyone. Thank you. You're welcome. Good job. Good job. Well done.
Okay, after this next group, we're going to award the Tech Push Awards and then a grand prize, and then we still have People's Choice Awards, so stick around. The fun has just begun. Before I introduce Bob York to do the Tech Push Awards, I do think we ought to have our judges, our judging panel, raise your hands, be recognized. Are we all here? Give them. Give them a round of applause. They did a great job. So now, my other partner in crime in this venture, Bob York, is going to present the Tech Push Awards.
This is the fun part, and thanks, Henry, for being a great moderator today. I hope you're ready to sign up for next year as well. So let's see, let's get all the Tech Push teams back up here on the stage. And we'll do the same thing again with the photos. We'll announce the winners now, and then we'll do the photos off cue over here. So let's see, we got Bright Blue, Peel Tech, and AppScale. Okay. All right, so For the third place winner for Tech Push, we have AppScale. Spend it wisely. Okay, and take a couple of pictures. Okay, second place, and as Mike said, this kind of gives away first place, right? So second place goes to Bright Blue. Two more pictures off stage too. And of course, that leaves Appeal Tech as the #1 choice in Tech Push. And this #1 award in Tech Push is sponsored by our Materials Research Lab and Dow Chemical on campus is a big funder of materials research. So this was a coincidence, okay? These guys are materials research scientists and chemical engineers, but the judges didn't know about the sponsorship when they voted them first. So congratulations. And Hazel or Craig Hawker, if you're around, we want you in some pictures yeah, come on up. Sorry, I didn't recognize you. Thank you. Yeah, come over here with your winners. Hazel is representing the Materials Research Lab on campus. Thank you. Great job. Good job. So that leaves grand prize and People's Choice Award. So let's see. The teams, you can leave the stage, but we want all the teams to stay close by, okay? And Mike, do you want to join us up here? Yeah. Okay, great. So you want to do the honors for grand prize?
You can do the grand prize. I'll do the People's Choice.
Okay. So grand prize is our top award this year for the best team in the competition, and that went to Appeal Technologies. Congratulations. Woo! Nice work. So you get another big check.
Yeah, double up.
Yeah. Let's move over there a little so that this doesn't block. Yeah. There we go. Great. Good job. Congratulations.
All right.
Well done, guys. Well done. We want to do more pictures off.
I'd like to thank everyone for participating in the technological part of the evening. The texting voting worked swimmingly. We had 167 votes. It was pretty close, but there was a clear winner of the People's Choice Award, and that team is Bright Blue. That stagecraft really worked. I think Ben won this one.
Awesome. All right.
I just wanted to remind everybody that, first and foremost, this is an educational competition. Some of these teams may go on to start the companies, and we hope they do. And if they do, there's a lot of in-kind awards to complement the cash awards they just got. With a number of our local sponsors, Stradling Yaka, for example, has contributed a number of a substantial amount of support for legal expenses. Ventura Technology Center and New Santa Barbara Incubator are offering some space too. We've got some accounting services with Bartlett, Pringle, and Wolf. Dun & Bradstreet has contributed some in-kind awards. We've got Southern California IP, who's here today, has contributed some in-kind awards, Steve Saraboff and his partners. So we've really got a number of support service awards for these young entrepreneurs if they do decide to start their companies, and we hope they do. and look for great things from them, because I'm sure you feel the same way I do. I was just blown away by the quality of their presentations today, and just thinking of myself as a junior or a senior in college, they're way more poised and mature than I ever was. So congratulations again to all the teams, and thank you all for coming and making this a great event.